So these videos are a little bit lower quality. I'm just trying to get these out just so you guys have something to watch and something to do. Hopefully they encourage you or entertain you in some way while you're stuck in quarantine. So here in Dallas, I just got a notification that we are extended through May 20th. So our stay at home through May 20th. So it's gonna be a fun time. But this week, I want to talk about sight alignment. So something I picked up from Frank Proctor at the Proctor course, and something that Brandon Ninebanger has also been emphasizing when we're out on our training days, and that's sight alignment. But before we jump into that, today's sponsor, or the sponsor of this video, is OMG Tacos. Shout out to Calvin at OMG Tacos. Again, they're not technically sponsors. They're not giving me anything for this. They haven't paid me for it. They're just a small business I want to support. So if you're in the DFW area, I believe they have a location in the Colony, Fort Worth, maybe one in Dallas. I don't remember where the other one is. They have a few locations. I think you can get them on Uber Eats, maybe Grubhub, but they're still open. They're doing to-go orders. Hit them up, get something from them, support these local small businesses. But into today's topic. So sight alignment and the importance of sight alignment. When we were at the Proctor course, Frank talked about as the day went on, the targets were getting riddled because we were putting hundreds and hundreds of rounds through these paper targets. And during one of the breaks, one of the guys said, "Hey, you want me to go and hang up new targets?" And Frank said, "No. What do we need targets for?" He said, "Well, we can't see our hits." And Frank said, "Well, if your sights are aligned when you pull the trigger, you should know where your hits are. So you need to be able to call your shots. We're not changing targets. You need to know where your shot is and call it." At the end of the day, at the very end of the day, we ended up putting fresh targets, and then you would shoot, and then you'd call your shots. And you had to say whether you had A zone hits, C zones, or if you just had a mic. So it's something that is often lost in the Instagram wash. I think we get consumed with the fast shooting, or you see guys shoot really quick or whatever, but you never see their hits, or you never see their groupings. And when we train with the guys that I train with, round accountability is extremely important, especially for them because they're professionals. It's what they do for a living. They're accountable for every time they press that trigger, every round that goes down range, they're accountable for it. So it's really important for us to know that when we press that trigger, that the shot's going where we intend it to go, and we're not just aimlessly shooting, hoping that it lands somewhere on target. So something we can work on in our dry fire, in our time in quarantine, is getting sight alignment and having our sight picture sooner so that we can call our shots. That's been the big thing that stuck with me, is being able to call your shots. When you can go and you go through a course of fire, or if you're out training and you know, okay, those were all A zone hits, but I know I threw one. And you can even go, okay, the third shot in that string, I know that was a Charlie, and I know it was high and right because my sights weren't quite lined up, and so I know it's going to be off a little bit over there. That's really, really important, but that's also a really good tool that it'll make you a better shooter because you know what you did wrong at that moment. So the way that Frank said it is that his big emphasis is sights and then trigger. That's it. That's the only two things that he really emphasizes. Grip is kind of up to you because everybody's hands are different. Everybody's body geometry is different. There are some key components that he will recommend and things like that, and experiment with those things. But the main thing is that if your sights are lined up, and then when you press that trigger, you don't do anything to disturb those sights, then you should have an accurate shot. So one of the things I think we can do in our dry fires, oftentimes when I see guys dry fire, they just go through the motions, right? So we're out, we trigger press, we reload, and we're back out. But are we taking the time to actually line up our sights? Are we making sure we have a clear sight picture when we go to press that trigger? And I think that's something that we can really emphasize and work on, that as we're going, even if you have little targets, or pick out a spot like a lamp, or pick out a light switch, or just something, draw a little on a whiteboard, draw targets. What I do, I draw targets on whiteboards and I transition, and then make sure that your sight picture is there and that you're seeing your sights when you're pressing that trigger, so that you know, because we really shouldn't be pressing the trigger unless we know our sights are lined up on target. Not just from a range standpoint, but in real world. If you have to use your gun as a defensive tool, you've got to know that when you press that trigger, that round's going to go where you intend it to go and not hit some innocent bystander or go into somebody else's house, or whatever the case may be. So it's really important for us in this time. We have nothing but time when you're watching Netflix, or you're taking a break between games and Call of Duty. I don't play video games, so I don't know. But whatever it is, or if you're sitting at your desk, you're working from home. Like for me, like right now, I've got videos rendering, or I've got photos rendering and being exported, and that gives me 5 or 10 minutes. And so I can just work trigger presses and getting my sights out on target. Give yourself a target to put them over so that you're putting your sights and you're seeing them as soon as you can, so that once all this is done and we're back out on range, that's just a natural motion where you're putting your sights on target. So you're just going. So it's just from there, target there, there, and it's really simple. Instead of just going through the motions and trying to do stuff fast so it looks cool on Instagram. So really emphasize sight alignment during this time and your dry fire. If you're actually practicing, you're working on your draw, you're working on your reloads, target transitions. Whenever that gun comes back out, make sure you're getting a clear sight picture and that without a doubt they were lined up when you pulled that trigger press. Hopefully that makes sense. Might have been a little of a rant, but hope it helps. And hope you guys have a great rest of the day. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.